Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, chapter number 1, titled The Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. Text number 3. Prajapati sa Bhagavan. Prajapati sa Bhagavan. Ruchistasyam ajijana. Ruchistasyam ajijana. Mitunam Brahma Varchasvi. Mitunam Brahma Varchasvi. Paramena Samadhina. Paramena Samadhina. Prajapati sa Bhagavan. Ruchistasyam ajijana. Mitunam Brahma Varchasvi. Paramena Samadhina. Prajapati sa Bhagavan. Prajapati sa Bhagavan. Mataji's. Word for word translation. Prajapati, one who is entrusted with begetting children. Sa, he, Bhagavan, the most opulent. Ruchihi, the great sage Ruchi. Tasyam, in her. Ajijana, gave birth. Mitunam, couple. Brahma Varchasvi, spiritually very much powerful. Paramena, with great strength. Samadhina, in trance. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Ruchi, who was very powerful in his Brahmanical qualifications and was appointed one of the progenitors of the living entities, begot one son and one daughter by his wife Akuti. Purport. The word Brahma Varchasvi is very significant. Ruchi was a Brahmana and he executed the Brahmanical duties very rigidly. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Brahmanical qualifications are control of the senses, control of the mind, cleanliness within and without, development of spiritual and mature knowledge, simplicity, truthfulness, faith in the Supreme Personality Godhead, etc. There are many qualities which indicate a Brahmanical personality, and it is understood that Ruchi followed all the Brahmanical principles rigidly. Therefore, he is specifically mentioned as Brahma Varchasvi. One who is born of a Brahmana father but does not act as a Brahmana is called in Vedic language a Brahma Bandhu, and is calculated to be on the level of Shudras and women. Thus in the Bhagavatam we find that Mahabharata was specifically compiled by Vyasadeva for Stri Shudra Brahma Bandhu. Stri means women, Shudra means the lower class of civilized human society, and Brahma Bandhu means persons who are born in the families of Brahmanas but do not follow the rules and regulations carefully. All of these three classes are called less intelligent. They have no access to the study of the Vedas, which are specifically meant for persons who have acquired the Brahmanical qualifications. This restriction is based not upon any sectarian distinction, but upon qualification. The Vedic literatures cannot be understood unless one has developed the Brahmanical qualifications. It is regrettable, therefore, that persons who have no Brahmanical qualifications and have never been trained under a bona fide spiritual master nevertheless comment on Vedic literatures like the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. For such persons cannot deliver their real message. Ruchi was considered a first-class Brahmana. Therefore, he is mentioned here as Brahma Varchasvi, one who had full prowess in Brahmanical strength. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakso Ramnitamyena Tasmei Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class today. So we've just started a new canto 2 days ago, canto number 4. So for many months we were seeing the instructions of Lord Kapildev to Mother Devahuti, which comes towards the end of 3rd canto. So a few days ago we started this new canto, canto number 4. And in 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami, he explains to Maharaj Parikshit that in this Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, there is 10 topics discussed. Atra Sarga, Visargascha, Sthanam, Posanam, Achyuta. So Atra Sarga. Sarga is primary creation, Visarga is secondary creation. Atra Sarga, Visargascha, Sthanam. Sthanam means planetary systems. Then Posanam. Posanam means protection. Uchyuta means inclination or impetus. Then there is Manvantara, the reigns of different Manus. And then there is Nirodha. Nirodha means destruction. So Atra Sarga, Visargascha, Sthanam, Posanam, Achyuta. Then Manvantara, Isanukata. Isanukata means talks about God, talks about Krishna, talks about the Supreme Personality Godhead, talks about the Supreme Personality Godhead's incarnations. So Manvantara, Isanukata. Nirodha means destruction, Muktir means liberation, then Ashraya. Ashraya is Krishna, the supreme shelter of everyone. So according to the Acharyas, it's given that different cantos, all the cantos, they talk about all 10 of these topics, but certain cantos, they focus on one particular topic only. For example, 1st and 2nd canto, they talk about Sarga. 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th canto, they primarily talk about Sarga and Visarga. Primary creation done by Krishna or Lord Vishnu himself, and secondary creation done by Lord Brahma. So in 1st canto, 2nd canto, 3rd canto, 4th canto, although they discuss all the 10 topics, still the main focus is creation done by Lord Vishnu and creation done by Lord Brahma. Then 5th canto, it talks about Sthanam. Sthanam means the situation of the planetary systems. So as you all know, the whole Vedic cosmology that's described in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam. So 5th canto of Bhagavatam, its emphasis is more on the structure of the universe, Vedic cosmology. Then next comes Poshanam. Poshanam means protection. So that theme is mainly discussed in the 6th canto of Bhagavatam. How Krishna, he protects his devotees. So we see that through the pastime of Jamil. At the time of death, he called out the name of Narayan and he was protected. We see that through Indra, he was cursed by Brahmana, and then he goes and appeals to Vishnu. Vishnu protects him, and we see that with Chitraketu Maharaj, he was also cursed, but although he was cursed by Mother Parvati, in the next life, although he was born as a demon, still he perfected himself, still he went back home, back to Godhead. Then 7th canto talks about inclination or impetus. So there's two types of inclination. There is good inclination and bad inclination. So that we see through Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu is an example of someone with bad inclination. And Prahlad Maharaj is an example of someone with good inclination. Then 8th canto talks about the different manvantaras. So up until 8th canto, most of the pastimes we'll see in Bhagavatam, they're mainly to do with things that happened during the reign of Swayambhu Manu. But 8th canto, we'll start talking about all the other Manus and what happens in other manvantaras. Then 9th canto talks about Isanukata, talks about God, talks about Supreme Personality Godhead, his avatars. 10th canto talks about Ashraya, Krishna himself. Then 11th canto talks about Mukti or liberation. Then finally, 12th canto talks about Nirodha or destruction. So 12th canto we'll see how the universe is destroyed. We'll also see predictions in the future of Kali Yuga, what happens in Kali Yuga, and it's given this 4 types of destruction is described in 12th canto. One is the partial annihilation, which happens at the end of every day of Brahma. Then there's the final annihilation at the end of Brahma's life. And there's the annihilation that's happening at every second. So every second things are deteriorating. Time is slowly deteriorating and destroying everything. So that's the 3rd type of annihilation. And the final annihilation is when the jiva, he gives up his material body and goes back home, back to Godhead. So that's the 4th type of destruction described in the 12th canto of Bhagavatam. So now currently we're in 4th canto, and as we were discussing before, the first 4 cantos, they primarily talk about Sarga and Visarga, creation by Vishnu and creation by Brahma. So now in these verses we're seeing the creation done by Brahma. Brahma is the son of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and one of his sons is Swayambhu Manu. And now we're seeing how Brahma creates or populates the universe through the children of Swayambhu Manu. So Swayambhu Manu, he had 5 children, 2 sons and 3 daughters. His sons' names were Uttanapad, Priyavata, and his daughters are Akuti, Prasuti, and Devahuti. So far in 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, we have heard about one of his children, which is Devahuti. So the whole life of Mother Devahuti, her children, we have already covered. But still there is 4 more children of Swayambhu Manu left, which hasn't been discussed. So now Sukadeva Goswami will describe about the other 4 children of Swayambhu Manu. Okay, so Devahuti has been discussed, but Priyavata, Uttanapad, Akuti and Prasuti, they haven't been discussed yet. So now we are hearing about the story of Akuti, another one of the children of Swayambhu Manu. Then later on, after this, we will hear about another daughter of Swayambhu Manu, whose name is Prasuti. Then Bhagavatam will describe the story of Uttanapad, one of the sons of Swayambhu Manu. And Uttanapad's son is Dhruva Maharaj. So that will come later on in this 4th canto of Bhagavatam. So that will continue on, the descendants of Uttanapad, till the end of 4th canto. So by the end of 4th canto, Sukadeva Goswami would have discussed 4 of the children of Swayambhu Manu. He would have covered Devahuti, he would have covered Akuti, Prasuti, Uttanapad, which leaves 1 child left, which is Priyavata. So Priyavata he will discuss in 5th canto of Bhagavatam. So the story of Priyavata will be described in the next canto. So in this way, Bhagavatam will cover all of the 5 children of Swayambhu Manu. So at the start of this chapter, in the first purport, Prabhupada, he very nicely, very humbly, he writes in his purport to the first verse of this canto that so far by the grace of our spiritual master, Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, by the grace of my Guru, we have completed 3 cantos of Bhagavatam already. And now we are progressing into the 4th canto. And we seek His grace to continue on in this mammoth task of translating Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada very humbly is giving his spiritual master the credit of whatever he's translated so far. And he's seeking his Guru Maharaj's blessings to continue on giving his purports to the 4th canto of Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada, when he was physically present with us every day in the morning, Srila Prabhupada used to go for morning walks. And when did he go for morning walks? It was before Darshanati. So usually 1 hour before Darshanati, around 6 o'clock or 6:15, Prabhupada will leave the temple and go for his morning walk. If there was some suitable place for walking next to the temple, then they would just walk straight directly from the temple, do a 1 hour walk, and they will come back just in time for Darshanati. For example, we have a nice park in front of our temple. So if there was something like this, Prabhupada would just walk straight away from the temple, go for a walk, and then come back. But if there was no suitable place for walking, then devotees would drive Prabhupada to a park or to a beach, and there Prabhupada will walk, and then they would drive back again to the temple just in time for Darshanati. So one time, I think this pastime takes place in LA or one of the other temples in America. Devotees, they drive Srila Prabhupada to a particular park, and Prabhupada, he goes for his usual morning walk, chanting japa, and as they're going for a morning walk, Prabhupada, he sees a letterbox. Just like we see here in Australia, they'll have this big red letterbox where you can put the letter in, and the postman will come and pick it up. So as they were going for morning walk, Prabhupada saw there was a nice big letterbox, and Prabhupada saw one small boy with his father standing next to the letterbox. And this small boy, he was holding one of the envelopes, one of the letters in his hand, and he was trying to reach up to put the letter in the letterbox. But it's too high for him. He's trying to he's trying to reach out, he's trying to jump, but he can't reach. And he can't put the letter in the letterbox. And Prabhupada's walking, and then Prabhupada suddenly stops and he's watching the whole scene. And all the devotees, they also stop, and they're wondering, why did Prabhupada stop? Why is Prabhupada, staring at this scene so intensely? What's going on in Prabhupada's mind? Everyone is wondering, what's Prabhupada thinking? And Prabhupada just stops and he's just fully focused on the scene. Prabhupada seeing this little child trying to jump up, put the letter in, but he can't. Then Prabhupada sees that the father standing next to the son, the father lifts up his son. And when the father lifts up his son in the air, then the son puts the letter in the letterbox, and then the son is happy. Then Prabhupada, he turns to all of his devotees, and then Prabhupada, he gives the purport. Prabhupada says, this is our position. We're just like that small little child. On our own endeavor, we cannot do anything. We might try as hard as we can to do something, to do some seva, to do something in our life. But we're so small and tiny, on our own endeavor, we cannot achieve anything. But when Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, when Krishna, our Supreme Father, when by His grace, when the grace by our spiritual Father, our spiritual Master, the Guru, when they lift us up with their grace, then we can put the letter in the letterbox. Then we can do or achieve something in life. On our own endeavor, we cannot do anything. Like this Prabhupada explained to the devotees. So this was Prabhupada's consciousness. Smallest, insignificant, the most ordinary thing, Prabhupada will watch and he will give a spiritual commentary. Very powerful example Prabhupada gives. So this is explained by Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami. Stavara Jangame Deki Na Deka Taramuti Sarvatra Hoya Nija Ista Deva Spurti. That this is the symptom of the pure devotees of the Lord. That wherever they go, wherever they look, wherever they see, they don't just see the material thing, but they actually see their Istadeva. They actually, everything reminds them of Krishna. Everything reminds him of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the same way, Prabhupada, he understands that, or he's, from his own example, displaying the behavior of a Vaishnava. Vaishnava, he always understands that on his own strength, on his own endeavor, he cannot achieve anything. Only if Krishna picks him up, only if his spiritual master picks him up, only then can he put the letter in the letterbox. Only then can he do any seva for Krishna. So that's why at the start of this canto, Srila Prabhupada, he offers his obeisances to his Guru Maharaj. And he says, actually, only by the grace of my Guru Maharaj, I have finished translating first 3 cantos, and I seek his grace to continue on in this mammoth task. On my own endeavor, I cannot do anything. And we all have experience on this. Like when we go for book distribution, we'll try sometimes so hard, approach this person, approach that person, use this line, use that line, smile, wave at people, try all our techniques, all the skills we have under our sleeve. Nothing works. Then what do? We look at a picture of Krishna, we pray to Krishna, Krishna, Gopinath, please help. I've been trying for 1 hour, no one has bought any books. Please help. And then what happens? Suddenly someone comes and takes a book. So how does that happen? Initially we're trying to distribute books on our own endeavor, but when we pray to Krishna, then Gopinath comes from behind us and he lifts us up. And when Krishna lifts us up, just like the small boy puts the letter in the letterbox, in the same way when Gopinath lifts us up, then we're able to distribute books. So when that happens, we should remember that it's not me who has distributed book, it's actually Krishna. Krishna is there behind me, invisible. He's lifting me up, he's empowering me to distribute these books. Same way with any seva we do. Deity worship, making garlands, preaching, memorizing slokas. Any service we do, we should understand that whatever success we're experiencing in that particular seva is not because of us, our endeavor, it's because simply due to the empowerment of Guru and Krishna. So in that way, Prabhupada, he starts this 4th canto, and Prabhupada then he goes on to give a summary of the 4th canto of Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada explains, now we will see the story of Akuti, then we'll see the story of Prasuti about Daksha and his daughter Sati, how Daksha has a misunderstanding with Lord Shiva, so that will cover a couple of chapters. Then we'll hear about the story of Dhruva Maharaj, again another couple of chapters will be covered. Then after Dhruva Maharaj we will hear about King Prithu, one of the descendants coming from Dhruva Maharaj. And then finally we'll talk about 4th canto, we'll end with the story of the Prachetas. So in this way Prabhupada, he gives a nice summary of 4th canto. So now coming to Akuti, one of the daughters of Swayambhu Manu. So she is given in marriage to a great sage named Ruchi, who is a Brahmana. And she is given to the sage Ruchi, who is said to be one of the Prajapatis, on one condition, by her father Swayambhu Manu. Swayambhu Manu gives her in marriage to the sage, but he says, I will give my daughter to you in one condition, which is the son which will come from the womb of my daughter through you. I want that son to be returned to me as my son. So that condition he puts. So Prabhupada explains in Vedic culture this was allowed, and this system was called Putrika Dharma. Putrika Dharma means when a father gives a daughter in marriage to a particular person, the father, he can request for his son-in-law to give his son back to him in charity. And generally this was done when a particular person, he was sonless. So someone is sonless, he just has a daughter and he is aspiring to have a son, then he could apply this Putrika Dharma, which means he could give his daughter to someone in marriage and ask that person that, okay, I'll give you my daughter, but the son that comes from my daughter, you have to return back to me. And that son will become, my grandson will become my son, and I will treat him as my son. So someone can apply this principle when he has no sons. When he only has daughters, he can use this particular Vedic principle to get a son for himself. So he can adopt his daughter's son as his son. But in the case of Swayambhu Manu, Prabhupada explains, Swayambhu Manu wasn't sonless. He already had 2 very powerful sons, Uttanapad and Priyavrata. Very great, powerful warriors, powerful Kshatriyas. So Prabhupada, he puts forward this question, why Swayambhu Manu putting this condition to Ruchi. He already has 2 sons. Still, he's so greedy that he wants, again, the son of his daughter to also become his son. So why is that? Prabhupada explains that Swayambhu Manu, he understood, or he could tell by his spiritual potency that the son that will come from his daughter won't be any ordinary son, but will be Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead himself. So Swayambhu Manu, he understands this, that my daughter, she is going to give birth to an incarnation of the Lord. So therefore Swayambhu Manu, he requests Ruchi, that please you give me, in the future a son will come from my daughter, you please give that son to me in charity. So Swayambhu Manu, he is greedy to have the Supreme Personality Godhead as his son. So this is not material greed, this is spiritual greed. So in spiritual life, to aspire to get more association of the devotees of Krishna, that is healthy, that is good. So Prabhupada explains different anarthas you can overcome by spiritualizing it. Like material lust, which is hankering to gratify our own senses, we can overcome by developing spiritual lust. What is spiritual lust? Spiritual lust means we try to hanker to gratify Krishna's senses. When we dance very nicely, so Krishna is very pleased. When we sing very nicely, so Krishna's ears are very pleased. When we cook something very nice, so Krishna's tongue is very pleased. So that way, by being spiritually lusty, we can overcome material lust. So in the same way, by being spiritually greedy, we can overcome material greed. So this greed shown by Swayambhu Manu is not material, it's spiritual. Swayambhu Manu is one of the 12 Mahajans. So one of the 12 authorities in bhakti or devotional service. So naturally he can't have any of these material anarthas. So this was spiritual greed demonstrated by Swayambhu Manu. Now the question might come up, how does Swayambhu Manu know that in the future the son that will come will be an avatar of the Supreme Lord? So Prabhupada, he explains that not anyone and everyone can be an avatar. Prabhupada says there is different characteristics according to which one can confirm or one can definitely say that, okay, this person is an avatar of the Supreme Lord. First and foremost, Prabhupada says, their name must be mentioned in the Shastra. If someone's name is not mentioned in the Shastra, they can't be an avatar. Although they might claim to be an avatar, although they might have hundreds and thousands of followers who say, so-and-so Baba is an avatar who has descended. If their name is not mentioned in the Shastra, they cannot be an avatar. So whatever avatars we're supposed to recognize as humans, their names are mentioned in Shastra. If someone's name is not mentioned in Shastra, Prabhupada says they can't be avatar. Second qualification for someone to be an avatar, Prabhupada says, they must have some symptoms, physical symptoms on their body which demonstrate themselves to be the Supreme Personality Godhead. For example, Krishna on his lotus feet, he has different symbols like a conch, lotus flower, elephant goat, thunderbolt, so on and so forth. So these different markings one should be able to see on the feet of a particular personality or on his hands. Like this, there's different physical markings given in the Shastra for an avatar of the Lord. So if a particular person doesn't have these different markings on his body, either on his hands, on his feet, then he can't be an avatar of the Lord. So that's the second checklist. Number 3, Prabhupada says, this particular personality, he must demonstrate some extraordinary activities which no one else can do. So these are the 3 things Prabhupada says. If someone ticks all 3 of these boxes, okay, then you can say he's an avatar or he's an incarnation. Number 1, his name must be in the Shastra. Number 2, he must have some bodily markings signifying himself as avatar of Vishnu. Number 3, he should do some extraordinary activities, which is uncommon, which is unheard of, which no one else can imitate. One time, this recording is there on YouTube. There's one lecture Tamal Krishna Maharaj he gives in a university somewhere in Fiji. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj is giving class, and then one person in the audience, he puts up his hand in this university hall, and this person, he asks about a certain Baba in India. He says, so-and-so Baba, he's actually an avatar of Vishnu. What do you think about him, Maharaj? Like this, he asks this question. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj very logically he explains to this person out of compassion, explaining how this so-and-so Baba, he's not the incarnation of the God. And Maharaj uses the same logic that Prabhupada gives. Maharaj says, firstly, this so-and-so Baba, his name is not mentioned anywhere in the Shastra. And secondly, he mentions, as far as I know, this so-called Baba, who says to be is an avatar Vishnu, he doesn't have any markings on his body, signifying him to be an avatar Vishnu. And Maharaj mentions that generally, avatar Vishnu is supposed to be very beautiful, because Krishna is all attractive. So any avatars Krishna, they're supposed to be very, very beautiful. And Maharaj says, as far as I've seen a picture of this Baba, he's not very attractive. In fact, he's, so and so forth. And there's one pastime of in relation to this in Hawaii. So one of Prabhupada's disciples was Govinda Dasi, and she and her husband, they were sent to Hawaii to start Krishna consciousness there. So in this island Hawaii, there's many pseudo-spiritualists who claim to be spiritual, but they engage in sinful activities. And in this island Hawaii, there was one particular person who was claiming himself to be an avatar of Vishnu, and he had many followers. So Govinda Dasi Mataji, she heard about this, and she went up to where all those followers were of this so-called avatar, and it's mentioned that she stands up on a table and then she starts shouting at all of these followers of this so-called avatar, that how can you claim this particular man to be avatar of Krishna? How can you claim this person to be Vishnu? He's so ugly. Vishnu is supposed to be the most beautiful. This particular so-called Baba, so-called avatar, he's so ugly. Have you seen picture of him? How can God be so ugly? Like this, she starts shouting at these persons. And then when news of this is shared to Srila Prabhupada, he becomes extremely pleased by Govinda Dasi's very bold preaching. And Prabhupada says, in the next edition of Back to Godhead magazine, you should write an article about Govinda Dasi, and the title of the article should be Heroine Govinda Dasi. That should be the title of the article, and underneath you should write what Govinda Dasi did. That she went up to these followers of this so-called incarnation and she challenged them. How can this person be God? He's so ugly, he's not even good looking, God is supposed to be most attractive. How can you claim him to be God? He's just cheating all of you. He's just taking all your money, don't follow him. So like that, Prabhupada says, write this article in next Back to Godhead magazine, and title should be Heroine Govinda Dasi. Okay, so Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he uses same logic to this man in the lecture hall. Number one, this so-called Baba, his name is not mentioned in the Shastra. Number two, he's not very attractive. God is supposed to be beautiful. He doesn't have any symbols on his body signifying him as avatar. And number three, what extraordinary superhuman activities has he done? Nothing. The only extraordinary magical thing he does is that he produces ashes from his hand. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he challenges, what is the value of producing ashes from your hand? If I give you some ashes, will it solve your problems of life? If I just give you some ashes, will you become happy? So he might be able to manifest some ashes from his hand, but what is the value of that? So no use. If you want ashes, you give me some piece of wood, I light it on fire, I'll give you free ashes for free. I won't charge you anything. But what is the value of those ashes? So like this, Maharaj, he challenges this so-called follower of this Baba. So like this, very logical, using Prabhupada's arguments, Maharaj, he concludes that this so-called Baba in India, according to Shastra, is not an avatar, because his name is not mentioned, he doesn't have symbols on his body signifying him as an avatar, and number three, he hasn't done any extraordinary activities. Like Krishna, he lifted Govardhan Hill with the pinky of his left hand. So if we ask a particular person in India who claims to be an avatar of Krishna, lift Govardhan Hill, can they do that? No. So in this way, Prabhupada and Prabhupada's disciples, they used to challenge these so-called avatars. So Swayambhu Manu, he's a Mahajan, so he knows this process of judging or understanding who is an avatar. So definitely he must have read in his reading of the Shastras, or he must have heard from the Shastras through some Brahmanas, through some authorities, that in the future through the womb of your daughter, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is going to come. So through Shastric understanding, Swayambhu Manu, we can take it, he understood this. So it wasn't by mental speculation, it was through Shastra. Also it is said, Te samsarta yuktanam bhajatan priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite, that for those who are constantly engaged in my devotional service with love and devotion, for them, I give the understanding by which they can come back to me. So we can also take it that Krishna, from within Swayambhu Manu's heart, he must have also revealed. So Swayambhu Manu, he understood this, that okay, my daughter's son, he will be avatar of the Lord. So that's why he requested his son-in-law, Ruchi, that please, you give me your son back to me in charity. And in today's purport, Prabhupada explained that generally someone puts this condition, that okay, I'll give you my daughter, but whatever son that comes to my daughter, you have to give me back in charity. In general, no one will agree to that. Like the child that comes, that's my child. Why should I give you back in charity? That's unfair. Why should I do that? So generally, no one will agree to this. But Ruchi, he agrees to this. Why? Prabhupada explains that Ruchi is Brahma Varchasvi. Brahma Varchasvi means spiritually very much powerful or very qualified. So this is the nature of a Brahmana. Nature of a Brahmana is that he's very magnanimous. He is very charitable. So there are 6 characteristics of a Brahmana. Yajan, Yajan, Patan, Patan, Dana, Pratigraha. Which means a Brahmana, Yajan means a Brahmana should do sacrifices and a Brahmana should teach others how to do sacrifices. Patan, Patan. The Brahmana should study Shastras and should teach Shastras to others. And Dana, Pratigraha. He should accept gift and charity and he should also give in charity. So if someone only accepts things in charity but doesn't give anything in charity, then he's not a Brahmana. He doesn't qualify. But Prabhupada says, Ruchi here in this verse is described as Brahma Varchasvi, which means he is actually a proper Brahmana, which means he is very, very charitable. So that's why when Swayambhu Manu requests him that in the future, your son you give me in charity, he happily agrees. Without a second thought, he says, okay, I will give you. Because that is the nature of a Brahmana. He is very charitable. He has no second thought. He is given that the nature of a Brahmana is such that during the day, many, many people will come and give him many, many gifts in charity. But at the end of the day, whatever excess things he has in his house, which he can't use in that particular day, he will again give back in charity before sunset. So by the time it's night time, he's again bankrupt. He's again has nothing in his possession. He's again a poor man. So Prabhupada explains this is the Vedic standard of a Brahmana. During the day, he will collect many, many things in charity, but before sunset, whatever things he has collected, whatever he can't use on that very day, he will again give back in charity. And again, he will become a pauper. Again, he'll put himself voluntarily in a position of poverty. Why? Because the nature of a Brahmana is such, he always wants to voluntarily put himself in a dependent position on the Supreme Personality Godhead. So that is the way Brahmanas used to live previously. So Ruchi is one such Brahmana. So when someone asks him something in charity, he won't say no, he'll happily give. Same nature is given for Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas, they're also said to be very charitable. Classical example of this is given in 9th canto of Bhagavatam with Lord Ramachandra. It's given that once Lord Ramachandra, he was doing some yagnas, and naturally in these yagnas they would invite many, many Brahmanas. And his duty of Kshatriyas to give in charity to all the guests and all the Brahmanas. And it's given in this particular occasion. Lord Ramachandra, he's so charitable, he's so happy and pleased, he's feeling so grateful for all the Brahmanas. Whatever he has in his possession, he just gives everything in charity to the Brahmanas. And all that he's left with is just the clothes which he has in his own body. Everything else, all his possessions, everything in his kingdom, he gives in charity to Brahmanas. Not just him, but even Mother Sita, his queen, his consort, she also gives whatever she has in charity. It's given. All Mother Sita has left is the clothes she is wearing and one nose ring. That's all she has left in her possession. So that's how charitable Kshatriya kings were. as exemplified by Lord Ramachandra. He was so charitable, he was so pleased with the Brahmanas. Everything he had, he just gave in charity to the Brahmanas. All he had left was just his dhoti kurta. All that Mother Sita had left was just a sari and one nose ring. That's it. All the jewelry, all of her jewels, necklaces, everything she gave in charity. And that's all they were left with. Then Bhagavatam explains, the Brahmanas who got all these things in charity, they start praying to Lord Ramachandra. And they become so moved by the love and devotion of Lord Ramachandra that they start shedding tears, thinking that how merciful, how magnanimous is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how much He must love us. Every single thing He had in His possession, He gave to us in charity. Is there anyone more magnanimous than a Supreme Lord? So feeling great gratitude for Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita, they start shedding tears, Bhagavatam explains, out of great gratitude. And then they start offering praise to Lord Ramachandra and they start explaining that, my dear Lord, the greatest charity in this world you have already given us, which is the greatest charity, the Brahmanas explain, is that you have come and appeared within our hearts. And by appearing within our hearts, you have dissipated the dense darkness of mature existence and have given us transcendental knowledge. This gift of transcendental knowledge which you have given us from within our heart, this is the greatest charity. We don't need anything else. So then whatever Lord Ramachandra had given in charity to the Brahmanas, those Brahmanas again, they give back in charity to Lord Ramachandra. So this is the ideal example of ideal Brahmanas and ideal Kshatriyas. A Kshatriya from his side, he should be very magnanimous and he should give whatever he has in charity to the Brahmanas. Brahmanas from their side, they should be very detached and they should just be happy and satisfied chanting Hare Krishna, doing devotional service, and whatever excess they have in charity, they should again give back in charity. So this ideal example is given in 9th canto of Bhagavatam. So Ruchi, he was one such Brahmana who was very, very charitable. That's why, without a second thought, when Swayambhu Manu asked him, he says, yes, no problem. Whatever son that comes from my wife, from your daughter, I will happily give to you in charity. No problem. One example, I was reading Prabhupada, he gives, later on 4th canto, Prabhupada, he gives an example of Prithu Maharaj. How Prithu Maharaj, he was a Sakta Vesh avatar of the Lord, which means a jiva who is empowered with a particular potency. So he was empowered with Palana Shakti, or the potency to rule the citizens as the ideal emperor. So naturally, being the greatest of all kings, he was receiving so much praise from all of his citizens. And Bhagavatam explains, although Prithu Maharaj was getting so many gifts and charity, so much opulence by different living entities from all around the universe, although he was getting praised left, right, and center by so many people, still not a tinge of pride crept into his heart. He was always maintaining a very steady consciousness. For us, even if we do the smallest of things and some person glorifies us or appreciates us, we immediately become very puffed up and proud. But for Prithu Maharaj, we can understand. He wasn't just one person glorifying him. He wasn't just two persons glorifying him or a dozen people. But the entire kingdom, millions of people from all over his kingdom, people from other planetary systems, demigods, everyone, like the whole universe was glorifying him. The whole universe was coming, offering him gifts, was offering opulences. So he was getting praise and opulence left, right, and center. He was getting glorifications from millions and millions of persons from all around the universe. But still, Bhagavatam explains, he was so fixed in Krishna's lotus feet, not a tinge of pride crept within his heart, and he was able to maintain a very humble disposition. And the example Prabhupada gives is that of a tree. Prabhupada explains that great spiritually advanced personalities like Maharaj Prithu, they're just like a tree. A tree has many, many fruits and flowers in its possession. But the tree, it doesn't stand erect, very proud that I'm so great. I have so many flowers, I have so many nice fruits, just look at me, I'm so great and magnanimous. No, Prabhupada says instead, if you look at a tree, the tree's branches will always be bending downwards, signifying its submissiveness to other living entities. So Prabhupada says great personalities are like a tree. They might have so many innumerable great qualities in their possession, but they don't stand erect, very proud that I am so great. Instead, just like a tree's branches are always bending down, showing its humble submissiveness to other living entities, showing that actually I'm just the servant of everyone. I might have many flowers and fruits, but actually I'm just the servant of everyone. Whoever wants can come and pick whatever flower they want. Whoever wants can come and pick whatever fruit they want. I am just the servant of everyone else. So Prabhupada says this is the mode of great personalities. They're just like trees. They might have innumerable divine qualities, but they're never proud. They never stand erect thinking I'm so great. Instead, they bend down submissively with the mood of dasanudas. They bend down submissively and they think I'm just the servant of everyone. Whatever good qualities I have with me is simply to be used in the service of other Vaishnavas. In this way, they conduct themselves. So Prabhupada explains these qualifications. Ruchi he had. That's why he's described as Brahma Varchasvi, someone who is very spiritually advanced with divine Brahmanical qualities. And Prabhupada, he goes on to describe how a Brahmana is not considered to be Brahmana by birth, but by his qualities and actions. As Krishna says in Gita, Guna Karma Vibhagasa, Chaturvinam Maya Shristam, Guna Karma Vibhagasa, that these divisions of the different varnas and ashramas, they're based not on birth, but based on guna and karma, based on one's qualities and by one's actions. Prabhupada will give the example of a doctor or a lawyer. Someone is a lawyer, he has a son. The son of the lawyer doesn't automatically qualify as a lawyer, but the son has to go to law school, pass all the exams, he has to go to university, get a law degree. Only then can you consider his son also to be a lawyer. So in the same way, Prabhupada says, just because someone is born as the son of a Brahmana doesn't mean he's a Brahmana. He should cultivate or demonstrate the qualities of a Brahmana. Only then can you say he is a Brahmana. So that's what Prabhupada he nicely explains. And later on we'll see that Ruchi, he doesn't just have one son, but he actually ends up begetting twins. So sometimes twins are born. So it's given that Ruchi, he has twins, and one is a male, one is a female. So the male child's name is Yagna, who is the avatar of Vishnu, whom he gives in charity to Swayambhu Manu. But then the twin is a female, and her name is Dakshina. And she is said to be an avatar of Mother Lakshmi. So Swayambhu Manu, he has put forward this request that you give me your son in charity. But Swayambhu Manu at the same time, he is feeling a little bad, he is feeling a little guilty that, I'm being a little greedy and I'm taking the son of my son-in-law. He'll feel a little hurt, or he'll feel, a bit bad in his heart, that his son is being taken away. So Swayambhu Manu, Prabhupada explains, he was kind of feeling a little guilty for having put forward this request. But when Swayambhu Manu sees that not just one child is born, but twins are born, then Swayambhu Manu, he relaxes a bit, and then his guilt is gone. He understands that my son-in-law won't be childless, but because twins are born, I will take the son, but he will have at least one child. He will at least have the daughter. So in this way, Swayambhu Manu, the little guilt he was feeling in his heart is pacified, and he feels happy. Okay, luckily twins are born, so my son-in-law won't be sonless or childless. He'll at least have a daughter. So this daughter is Dakshina, and the son's name is Yagna. So Yagna is given to Swayambhu Manu in charity, and he becomes the son of Swayambhu Manu. And Dakshina, Akuti and Ruchi, they keep Dakshina as their daughter, and they raise up Dakshina. Then later on in the future, they will marry Dakshina and Yagna, because they are eternal consorts. Yagna is avatar Vishnu, and Dakshina, she is avatar of Mother Lakshmi. So as we're discussing this desire of Swayambhu Manu to have the avatar of the Supreme Lord as his son, this is not a material desire, it's not material, but this is a spiritual desire. To have the association of Supreme Personality Godhead, it's not material, it's spiritual. And we see in Krishna book, I was hearing one pastime from my Guru Maharaj about Krishna. how he acts as the son of Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, and he tries to get the Vatsalya Bhav out of his parents. So it's given in Vrindavan, Mother Yasoda, her Vatsalya Prem is the topmost, it's fully pure. And even when Krishna does something very extraordinary, she never thinks, even for a single moment, that Krishna is God. All the time she is just thinking, Krishna is my son. But with Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, they're in Mathura and Dwarka, and their Vatsalya Prem is sometimes mixed with Aishwarya, which means they go back and forth. Sometimes they see Krishna as their son, and they overcome by Vatsalya Prem or Madhuri or fatherly affection. But sometimes when they see Krishna doing something very great, that Aishwarya comes. And they start seeing Krishna not as their son, but they start seeing Krishna as Vishnu, the Supreme Personality Godhead. So with Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, they're like, their consciousness is switching back and forth between these two modes. One mode is, okay, he's our son. Another mode is, oh, he's Supreme Personality Godhead. So they're constantly going back and forth. But with Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda, they're always thinking that Krishna is our son. Even though he might do something very great, they will think, okay, he killed this demon because in Krishna's past life he did a lot of punya. So because of all the good karma, our very nice boy Krishna did, because of all the punya he did, in this life, he has a lot of good luck, Vishnu is protecting him. Or another reason they would think is, we're doing our puja so nicely in our house, we're doing our deity worship so nicely, that's why Vishnu is very pleased and Vishnu is protecting our child. Or reason number 3, they would think, the Brahmanas in our community, the local Brahmanas in our community, they're the best of all the Brahmanas. They're very powerful Brahmanas. And because the Brahmanas in Vrindavan are so powerful, so spiritually potent, on the strength of their mantra chanting, on the strength of their spiritual potency, Vishnu is personally coming and protecting our child from these demons. So they used to never think that Krishna actually killed all of these demons. So Krishna used to kill at least 3 demons a day. One breakfast time, one lunch time, and then one evening time. So every day, at least 3 demons Krishna used to kill. But Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj, they used to always think, okay, it's either due to our deity worship, we're worshiping Vishnu so nicely in our home, therefore Vishnu is blessing us. Or Krishna, he's such a sweet boy. Definitely in his last life, he must have done so many pious activities, so much punya he must have done. So therefore in this life, he has a lot of good luck, so Vishnu is protecting him. Or the Brahmanas. Our Brahmanas are the best of all the Brahmanas. So due to the spiritual potency of our Brahmanas, Krishna is being protected by Vishnu. So that way Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj used to think. And when Krishna lifts Govardhan Hill, Mother Yasoda, she never believes that actually it was Krishna who lifted Govardhan Hill. But she thinks actually it was Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj and all the other cowherd men, when they put their sticks up, it was that force of the stick of Nanda Maharaj and all the other Vrajavasis that was lifting up Govardhan Hill. Krishna, he was just, he's just my boy. How can he lift Govardhan Hill? Although everyone gives him credit, out of love for him, everyone is giving him the credit. But it's not Krishna, it's just Nanda Maharaj. It's Nanda Maharaj who lifted Govardhan Hill. But with Devaki and Vasudeva in Mathura, their love switches back and forth. When they see Krishna doing something extraordinary, they immediately start thinking, oh, he's Vishnu, he's Supreme Personality Godhead. Then they start going in awe and reverence that lowers their Vatsalya Prem. And then they, with awe and reverence, they approach Krishna. And it's given Krishna, he doesn't like that. Krishna, he wants to experience the rasa of parental love of his parents. So one pastime I was hearing recently about this, of Krishna, when he was killing Kamsa in the assembly in Mathura. So it's given Krishna first, he fights with Krishna and Balaram, they fight with Chandura and Mustika. And these warriors are huge monsters. And Krishna and Balaram, they smash both of them. They kill them. And it's given after they kill them, they start celebrating. And just like in a soccer match, when someone wins a game, then the winning team, they invite all the fans to come into the stadium. So some soccer matches you'll see, the fans of the winning team, out of so much ecstasy, they will jump into the ground and they will come and embrace the winning team. So in the same way, Krishna's cowherd boyfriends from Vrindavan, they're there in the huge arena. So it's kind of like, you can imagine like a football stadium. It's given, the wrestling arena. There's like many, many rows of seats, just like a soccer stadium or a cricket stadium. And just like in a cricket stadium, you'll have VIP seats somewhere at the top. So in the same way, there were like some VIP seats where Kamsa was there with his personal ministers. So when Krishna smashes, Krishna and Balaram, they finish off Chandra Mustika, and Krishna celebrates, Balaram celebrates, and they called all the cowherd boys to come in and celebrate with them. And initially the cowherd boys, they're a bit hesitant, but Krishna and Balaram said, no problem, come in, come in. Then all the cowherd boys, they jump into the stadium, into the grounds, and they all start celebrating Krishna and Balaram's victory. And Kamsa, he can't tolerate this. And Kamsa immediately, he starts shouting, and in complete rage, he starts shouting to his ministers, to his soldiers, arrest Devaki and Vasudev. Vasudev cheated me. He promised he'll give me his 8th child, but he lied to me, he betrayed me, and he took the 8th child away. And, kill Ugrasena, that rascal, arrest all the cowherd men, steal all their cow products. Like this, he starts shouting different orders. And at that time it's given that Krishna, he's there at the bottom of the stadium, and Kamsa is there, seated at the top. So you can imagine a huge soccer stadium. Right at the top of the stadium is where Kamsa is seated, in the VIP seats. And it's given Krishna, right from the bottom, he takes one leap, and he comes straight to the top where Kamsa is seated. And it's given that the jump of Krishna, he does it so quickly, no one even notices Krishna jumping. 1 second he's there, another second he's just there at the top. So he does it like with super speed. And suddenly he's there at the top of the stadium where Kamsa is seated. And Kamsa sees Krishna in front of him. Kamsa, he takes out his sword, ready to fight with Krishna. He's moving that way. And he's given Krishna, he knocks off Kamsa's crown first. And then he grabs Kamsa by his hair. So Kamsa had long hair. And Kamsa is no ordinary personality. It's given, Kamsa was a huge monster. He was like a giant. And Krishna was just a 10 to 11-year-old boy. But then Krishna, he grabs Kamsa by his hair, and he throws him all the way from the top of the stadium to the bottom. And Kamsa falls all the way down. Some acharyas say by the force with which Krishna threw Kamsa from the top to the bottom, that Kamsa loses his life, he dies. Others, they say, as explained in Krishna book, then Krishna, he jumps from the top of the stadium on top of Kamsa's body. He uses Kamsa's body as a landing pad. Just like in some movies, like Indian movies, you see, some building will be on fire, and one hero will tell, someone, jump off the building, no, don't worry, and they will get some padded thing, at the bottom of the building. And they say, jump onto this pad, don't worry, you'll be safe. Similar thing actually happens in Sydney or Melbourne. One time, devotees, they were preparing for Ratha Yatra. And they built a huge canopy for the cart. And the canopy for the cart was made out of huge like bed sheet, like thick cloth. And once as they were going, they saw one particular building was on fire. And there were persons in the building and they were crying out for help. The ambulance, it takes time to come, and they were shouting out for help. So devotees, they saw that, there's people in this building, they're suffering, they need to get out, the building's on fire. So what these devotees do, that cloth which they're going to use for the canopy for the Ratha cart, they take that cloth and they go to the bottom of the building and they tell the persons in the building, you jump out the window. Don't worry, we will catch you in the canopy of Lord Jagannath. And initially, the people, they were a bit suspicious, will this cloth actually protect us? Will we be safe? But they had no other option. There was like 3 or 4 people in there. They all jumped from the window. And they landed on the canopy of Lord Jagannath, and devotees, they saved them that way. And I think His Holiness Ramai Maharaj, he was also there present while this happened. And this was, news reporters came, they took photos of this, and this was published in the local newspaper, that the Hare Krishnas saved the day, like that. How the Hare Krishnas, they came with a cloth, and these people, they jumped out the window and they protected them. So like that, we'll see sometime in movies or real life that they will have a landing pad onto people to jump onto. So Krishna, he jumps from the top of the stadium and he uses Kamsa's body as a landing pad. And then he starts punching Kamsa, left, right, and center, until Kamsa gives up his body. And when this happens, everyone in the stadium, they're completely astonished. An 11-year-old boy has just killed this huge monster called Kamsa. Kamsa was a huge giant. Everyone in the universe was afraid of him. Even Indra was afraid of him. That's why when Indra was pouring rains in Vrindavan during Govardhan Leela, Indra made sure that not a single drop of water went towards Mathura. Although Mathura is right next to Vrindavan, Indra made sure no water went towards Mathura because Indra was afraid. If little water goes to Mathura, Kamsa will get angry, Kamsa will smash me. So this was how notorious Kamsa was. All the demigods were afraid of him. So in this way, everyone in the stadium was completely astonished. And Krishna, just to make his mother and father realize that, yes, Kamsa is gone, no need to be scared anymore. Krishna, he then drags the dead body of Kamsa around the stadium. Just so his parents and everyone else can understand that actually he is not unconscious, he is actually dead. He is actually gone, you can relax now. Kamsa is no longer present. So this way Krishna, he drags the dead body of Kamsa all around the stadium. And at this time, Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, they're overcome by awe and reverence, and they're just standing with folded hands, After so many years, their sons have come, you would expect them to embrace Krishna and Balaram, pat their heads, smell their hair, but now they're just like this formally, because they've just seen Krishna smash Kamsa. So then Krishna, he would then offer a lot of prayers to speak very sweet words to Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, explaining that, you are our father, you are our mother, you have given us this body, we're so ungrateful, we could never repay our debt to you. Although you gave us this body, we ran away out of fear of Kamsa, we hid ourselves, we're so indebted to you. Like this, where they speak very sweet, loving words. And in this way, Krishna, using his Yoga Maya potency, he again covers the vision to again get the Vatsalya love, or the parental mood back. So in this way, slowly, Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, they let go of that Aishwarya, they let go of that awe and reverence, and then they start seeing Krishna and Balaram as the son, and then they embrace Krishna and Balaram. Okay, we'll stop here, we're over time. Nantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagur Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.